are here and we are ready to go. Touch wood. I do not want to be anything else.
Is this wood?
It might be. I've touched this
yes,
table.
Yes, it is.
Elevate versus MNM. Thank you so much for bearing with us. We are ready to go. Bartosz, social media manager.
He's losing it.
He saw the tweets and he said, oh, maybe I should fix the game. So Bartosz.
Yeah, Bartosz did fix it. He actually, you know what? He's like, okay, maybe I should stop posting on Twitter and
maybe
just
he should, and he fixed it. Thank you
find
everyone
the
for
start
telling
button.
him that he needed to do it. Okay, Hap, Fluke, Elevate, MNM. Break it down for us.
Okay, so with this, we have Elevate, the number 2 seed to come in from APAC, going up against the number 3 seed from Europe. However, one in a bit of a better form compared to the others. So it's gonna be a good matchup, I think. We might see 12 rounds, maybe 11. That's what I'm personally aiming at right here. Slightly in favor of Elevate if you just look at the map bans. However, international play, a small break. New strategies could be born in just a matter of days, so who knows? MNM might have something up their sleeves.
Now, it's also worth sort of recapping. We had a very long spiel before this and before the break, but Elevate, if you are not quite sure where they've been, they should have been at Charlotte, couldn't make it because of visa. They've also had a roster change since the last time you saw them on a major stage at SI, where we now have Mark and Mr. Punch, the new duo that stepped in alongside, obviously, Onigiri, the man who hit and broke so many records before, DCH, and Sapper, who is currently the best-rated player in APAC South.
Yeah, so with that, a pretty good lineup on the side of Elevate, I think we can say. A pretty sufficient all-round lineup. They have some consistency as well. And they are about to take on MNM, who have that, as Desert called it, the mini TSM formula with Tyrant, Solotov, and Users, of course. However, Tyrant has been a bit slow throughout the stage, throughout EUL Stage 2. And that is something that needs to change. If they manage to get on top of that, the group getting out of it, that should be easy.
That's it. So on the stage itself, the team that is in the game, they haven't quite had the major changes, but they have changed that important 6th man. The coach was different for their time in their swing round at SI, their last sort of foray onto the biggest stage here. So they're going to see if some of these slight changes can be something. Because, to be fair, the way they got here was a little bit skin of their teeth. A fight that was only really locked in for the flights on the very final EUL Playday for MNM.
And on that Playday, they did literally the bare minimum. Get those 6 rounds. After that, I was like, okay, we have qualified. That's about it. We don't need to do more. Lost that game eventually. So they came off the back of 2 losses for this now game. Their first game out of their group. So they want to turn that around. They've done what they needed to do to get here. It's up to them now to show that they have improved, that they have worked on the issues and are able and capable of taking on Elevate, who I think in this matchup might have a slight favorite above themselves.
Well, where do we find them? Theme Park. The map ban was done prior towards the break, so just to update you, we find ourselves heading to Theme Park. It is a map where Elevate have a 1-for-1 record on it with a perfect, flawless defensive half. Now, they will be starting, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm not, on their attack.
They will be, and of course that is due to the fact that MNM had the side choice. It is a defense side of map. You would be crazy to not go for the defense first in such an important matchup as this one. And thus, as we are starting to get into the game right here, it is MNM that will start off onto the defense. Oh, actually slightly favored into the social polls, 52% up against the 48 of Elevate.
Pump that bass, baby.
That actually rhymed. I was quite surprised by that.
Give me that.
Yeah, give him the pump.
Give me the club. The club down here onto Theme Park. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and my honor to say we are getting into game. We are getting into the first game on the B stream. Obviously, there is 2 streams running, but if you want to watch Damwon, Kia, and Rogue, that is on the other. Here, we have 2 scrappy teams, 2 potential underdog stories, 5 players across the board on either side that have everything to play for right now, and it starts here.
Now, the Dokkaebi to be removed first by the side of MNM, meaning they don't want to deal with a DMR at least, but also the Luigi bombs, the chems that get hacked. That might lean into a bit of an information game that MNM wants to play here on theme. Thatcher being banned, quite common, doesn't really change anything. That operator gets removed 90% of the time.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard removal. It's a piece that's obviously happy to take out of it. Kaid gone as well, you find yourselves in a little bit more of a limitation on towards the hatch play of and the sort of lockdown that Throne has often become, that you can still try and lock in those walls. Thatch is going to make some of these approaches a bit tougher and trickier. And Azami, the extra one on the back of our board that I still think is kind of funny. I still think it's kind of funny that we have the Gemini and Azami, but she's not actually going to be in this game. She's
not. She can
alongside with us.
Yeah, for sure. And Azami, of course, one of those 2 new operators that have been added towards the competitive pool to get a bit sense. Of course, Azami considered as one of the most game-changing operators we've had for a while, maybe putting her in line with Mira, who, of course, is an architect herself as well. Not seeing any play, at least for now. Does leave the opportunity for Mira open, but often not really played that much out here on Theme. So we're headed towards the throne room first. I mean, it's quite usual for teams to do that. It is quite defendable. There's 3 double walls that will lead directly into the site. 1 on yellow. You have 1 near the maintenance and 1 on the barrels as well. Those are the main entry points, but you will need some roamers to make sure that that top floor control is not getting out of hand.
That's entirely it. If you're looking at this meta and you're looking at the extension and you're looking at a pretty much full repick on this side of the bow, Sapper's going to pick up the Monty, a big change. The Fink has just changed hands off of Onigiri. He's going to play the IQ. They're maybe a bit concerned about those Valkyrie cameras. They're going to be tucked and sort of pocketed round. A little bit of intel can be absolutely monumental. The Thatcher is the drive-through. Oh, not the Thatcher, the Thermite. The Thatcher is gone. So they might be trying to hit this a little bit flat and heavy. Sapper cautious of the approach there towards the top of Dragon Stairs. The window can be dangerous, and more so the swing out on the door itself. And we know the game that Yus and Solotov like to play, which is called, hey there, here's my gun.
For sure. I mean, Onigiri also knows that strategy. Really a big fan of going for it. But, you know, what we see now is just some quick hatches to be opened up, some preparative work to be done. And as we get into it, soon Elevate will start to take control of that top floor. Because, of course, we won't actually be needing that top floor completely to be cleared out. Just directly above that side. Make sure there's no roamers able to start pushing in. And that is going to be a great first grenade. But just stepped out in time there it is for Solotov lives on to fight for just another couple seconds.
That's it. The Jackal's trying to get the catch. They thought he might be tucked around a little bit further, but Solotov's dug himself into the end of that corridor. It is a bit of a power place and a position that Wamai's going to have the support there to let Solotov potentially play their life. The drops are coming around. There's a body on the bottom of Dragon Stairs. There's an extension towards the computer side. You can see they've stacked themselves up all the way around. They're making sure that they can approach this without somebody getting them through the soft above. But we've talked about this. There's a verticality that needs to be taken care of. The first cover on a smoke, assuming that maybe hit a disc on the catch. The second, around the same actually. And no, they just wanted to drop the hatch.
Yeah, they did, and DCH will be able to get that very first. That's Solotov removed. That's the Valkyrie, one of the roamers off the board. But just look at it. How many people are currently on site? I can count maybe only 1 on the back of Throne. So if they do manage to find this kill and get some information through, this might be very crucial on the side of Elevate.
Nello, he's getting a little bit aggressive. He's just peeking around on the side of the Dragon Door itself to see if anybody is there to strike down, but they've got themselves stacked up. Elevate, you can see them all across the bow of the map. Tyrant's taking the first. The C4 actually destroys the mute jam. It doesn't get all the way through, so that wall is now breachable by the sides of Mark if he can find his way around, but they probably don't know that. Instead, they're going to try and see if they can lock in the fight above. DCH, well, he's caught out by Tyrant. We said he's a player that we need to keep eyes on, because if he steps in, well, Mark can step back. There's the fight onto the site itself. Usus, he's now the back line. Neo's found his way via split, spraying around onto the door, but 30 seconds, and they're trying to knock their way to the back of the throne.
Yeah, they need to. Smoke canisters are coming through, and that means the execute is about to be upon us here. They want to go for a bit of a plant, and the Sapper will get yet another kill. Impacts are being tossed back out. Neo goes quite low. They need to get this plant down in a couple of seconds, but it's an injured to come through. The diffuser has been dropped and picked up again by Mr. Punch. He's going for the plant, an effective 1 and 2 as it is right now, but it's an LMG that's covering. Users will find a kill, however. It's only up to Mr. Punch. He gets 1, swings around. Users will find him, however, and that's MNM that gets the very first round.
Usus with a triple kill. And then a pair for Tyrant. We said they're a team that sparks on those players, and they've hit this first. But you have to look at how Elevate just kept biting their way back into that round. There was obviously the structure of things starting to fall apart elsewhere. There was little tap for tap, blow for blows. As soon as they lost the Jackal, they made sure that, as I said, are they aware that that mute jammer's gone? Yes. Very quick response from the Thermite to get in, get that wall breached, the important strike through the setup, which is, you know, more of a standard take, but that battle of grenades over the top, potentially against Wamai, was sort of cut in half, and the response from Elevate to hit it meant that they almost took the round.
It got quite close, it definitely did. And I mean, it's a defense-sided map here, so Elevate being this close on that very first, they definitely have the opportunity to pick up 2, maybe even 3 rounds if they manage to continue the way they just fought through that round. And if they do manage to do so, then MNM definitely will have to go for a bit of a sweat. So they need to step it up a bit. They need to make sure they don't let Elevate play this trade game the way they did, because you find one, Elevate fights back. You find another one, Elevate again, able to strike back. It wasn't up until that last moment where it was a 1v2, basically due to the plant going down, you getting the drop onto the Zofia, and then somehow Mr. Punch able to find one, just not the second, unfortunately, due to the right call onto the rotate from users there. But we're on a different site now, and a spawn peak is upon us. It is the Wamai.
I mean, I said he likes to play this game. There's a slow-moving Sapper Monty.
He's not being spotted like this, so he's playing it just well.
There's a drone. Oh, didn't quite get all the way to the top. He's recollecting it.
And
there it is!
That's a Monty!
No! Sapper removed. The drone comes a step and a second later, but there is nobody you want to lose more than a Sapper, and nobody on top of that than a Monty. What a blow. As that early swing round, Users has kept himself rolling here, and Elevate, well, they've lost that opening battle this time around. Can they try and find a fight back?
I have to say as well, well played by Users, just being on that pixel where you do not get spotted, you know, just use it to your advantage there. Allow yourself to go for some of these repels, because always, every single round, people are going to be repelling up there, especially with the current site that you're attacking. You want to go for a full top floor clear. You do not want to have people come in from your backs. Now, Mark is starting to breach with the Selmas inside of the break room. It's going to create a very tall angle, tall opening. I don't think he'd be getting too much use out of that, though.
I think it's the cut down, potentially. Anyone that might try and hit that rotate, they put a bit of danger there for them. You can see they've got themselves just that position on the rotate from break round to the top of Arcade stairs to try and take care of any more Selmas that come there. But now this pressure comes from Arcade. They have themselves elevate in these positions to keep responding to where MNM is finding themselves. A bit of an explosive and a bit of an explosive move from Tyrant. Gets one. DCH at least gets some revenge on that kill. Means that it's not entirely bloodless. But with a misthrown grenade and 2 more, Elevate knocked out the door. MNM strike hard.
A clean round for MNM, but you gotta say it. They really wanted to go for a push with that Monty. Got taken out before even a drone entered the building there. So a bit of an oversight from Elevate. Might have wanted to go a little bit too quick there, and MNM, they punished him for it. And that's that 2-0 on the board now. More of a convincing win that we need to see from MNM if they want to be doing well on this map here on Theme Park. Because we've seen them struggle. We've seen them lose out on Theme. Now, as we head towards the drug labs and the storage, it's going to be a first floor hold. This is the home of the famous toe shots we saw between BDS and G2 back in the 2020 EUL finals, I believe it was. Verticality is a small part in this. It doesn't completely cover the site, but especially around Cafe, you're going to be able to open up some parts above the bathroom, which are often a place to hide as a defender.
Theme Park does play itself well to defenders. It's always worth sort of noting. And I guess if we're going to quote the statistic that we've said a couple of times, Elevate, last time they were here, a flawless defensive half, which, you know, you want to have a little bit more breathing room. You want to take some of your attacks. But it is still something that they know, and obviously they'll have that, not as a contingency, but as a factor over their game itself. Here, MNM, they've got themselves off to a very solid start, and they, for them, know that they've got the tougher part of the game, so they need to try and win this, the tertiary round, the one that's a little bit tricky, the one that's a little bit sticky, and the one that's a little bit, I guess, more important in the longer throws of things. The breach, the hold, and the wall underneath for the extension across throne in case they want to have those rotations. And it's a bit of a flat approach for now from Onigiri.
Just trying to get some of those first injuries, take care of some utilities, some cameras maybe, get some ground covered so you don't have to do that later on anymore. And as the rest of Elevate is trying to get themselves in and around the building, first RC Retiros are starting to come through. I think that's mainly for information, though.
Nello in a bit of a scrappy firefight there, caught out around the side of the barrels. He's trying to swing and play for his life. The Mute Jammer of safety will mean that he might not get directly droned out, but Onigiri straight on split. Does he know that one's just below? He fires a bit high, they dip a bit low. He's expecting the swing round from the side. It's Usus on the door. Solotov's a bit of an extension. Tyrant's holding the yellow stairs to make sure no one can get behind them. It's again this play, but there it is. Onigiri's finally able to find one through the drone hole. Well, there's no way you can have a man protect you from that angle, apparently.
Usually you have some time to try and respond, but Onigiri really quick with picking up that kill there, not really giving anything. Nello's still stuck in the barrels, though. All he can really do is dug in deep because there is no more way out. Hopes that maybe there's some support coming in from the hatch, which I believe has just arrived. But Onigiri's just out there. He's just holding. A stun is coming through in just a second now. They know he's still there. A drip out comes through. Mark will be able to shut him down, and now they know Nello is still out there. Brief fires come through. He will get a second, and that's a 5-on-2 for Elevate.
I mean, it was really playing his life. Solotov finds one. He's retaken barrels. The kit's cold. He just looks away on the second, but he still almost finds it. No! Elevate. They make it count when it needed to. They find their first round. A great take across. They knew what they needed to put pressure on. Gifted the one through the drone hole, and from then on, it seemed pretty clinical.
And now Armory Throne is going to be opening up again. I mean, that was the round that eventually came down to a 1v1. Elevate definitely had the opportunity to win it there. It was just that 1v2 post-plant that just did not account for users going a bit wide. So, are they going to be able to make the change here? Are they going to be able to tie it back up for this first game in Group D? I was going to say B because the B stream.
No, this is Group D.
Yes, on the B stream.
Dang, we're opening with Elevate and MNM.
we definitely are opening up with them here. So hoping that Elevate is going to be bringing us back towards that 2-2. Make sure that this game stays close all the way through. But also important to note, yes, Elevate, they played Theme Park before. They had a flawless defensive half, but it wasn't a full half. It was only 4 rounds. So we weren't fully tested, not all 6.
Okay.
And that means that...
You put a little asterisk there?
I'm putting a little asterisk there. We haven't seen all 6 rounds, so we cannot call it completely flawless, but it's still 100% win rate.
I'm not sure if you picked that up at home, if the audience...
Rogue Dam one.
That's a Rogue Dam one, which is going to be a very audible game.
Yes.
Feel the game. Feel the waves.
You gotta. That's a prep win, though, there.
MNM and Elevate. 3 rounds deep. MNM. They've just lost the most recent. They're going to see if they can try and restructure. There's a bit of a spray on the far side, but DCH is trying to cut off a player here on the rotate. They're going by this ping game. They've slightly altered their approach. You might remember before that there was a change off the Ash to this lineup, but they didn't throw themselves so directly in that quick to the fight. They've actually pulled themselves back, and are they going to try and force this player out the top of Dragon first here?
I think so. I mean, there's definitely drones coming right around, and there's even red pings that will give away his position. And I believe he just jumped down the Dragon's stairs, so it will provide some freedom for the rest of the attackers to start moving in. It's also the only person on site now, users, on that Valkyrie. Ooh, look at this. Tyrant, he's so close to that window. There's a player on it. He has absolutely no idea. Could just be wall banked out here if a drone comes through and gives him the information. If that drone checks...
Do they know?
Not yet.
They know!
They definitely do now.
Oh, but he was the one droning. Yeah. That is the problem. DCH droning himself. Solotov finds Mr. Punch on the swing round. Put the pressure back onto the approach, and that's going to pull them a little bit out of computers. They took the drop down. You can see they're going for the rotate. They need to force some of this territory. Where's the next fight? Onigiri's looking for it. But again, look at the timer. A minute 20. They're still trying to find their way through here onto the top floor. Sapper's finally got themselves some safety onto that corridor itself, but MNM have played the space, they've played the time. They've also been able to play out that Finker from the round. Here's another slow potential creep. Do they know the position that they're just around on the corner? They're holding it and letting Mark try and get some work done below.
So they want to get this top floor directly under control. Allows them to open up. Now there is still that Mute Jammer there, but the exothermic will be circumventing it. Impact, however, will still destroy. So opening, not created yet. Not sure if Mark has an exothermic left. Yeah, he does. He was on his drone there for a second. So now they need to get rid of the player that's out there. And what better way to do that with a grenade to bounce around the corner?
That's it. The grenade's going to bounce around. It's going to force it. There's an impact. There's a little bit too wide. No catch. The door is open 30 seconds, and Sapper's able to find it, drops the shield, and pops Nello out of existence. Going to move in to the recent breach kind of dangerously. There's an alibi. The cold ping around the corner, and there's a great take from Neo. Runs out of bullets for the second, but finds the safety inside the throne walls itself. DCH making sure nobody swings around on the backside, but 17 seconds, and you can't stop Tyrant when he's able to just move into that free real estate. Loses the last, but Solotov saves it. An MNM round.
It was such an unlucky timing right there. He checked. Okay, no one there. Back towards the Dragon Door we go. And at that moment, is a swing out from Tyrant. Picks up those 2 kills and makes sure that MNM is going to be able to lock in that round. And that leaves us in this 1-3 now. And we're going back to Bunk and Daycare, a side that was really comfortable for MNM, having 4 surviving members in the end, which shows that Elevate, they really need to change something up here. Of course, that started with the Monty being spawn peeked out. Monty not yet on the board, but of course with a tackler repick, that could still change. They just need to make sure that their drones are ahead of schedule, though. Make sure that they aren't going to be missing these kind of spawn peaks, not putting your members prone to these risks to ensure yourself a fighting opportunity later in the round.
This could be an important round for the side of Elevate. They've obviously been able to do well on their defense before, but MNM, they've improved their throne, they've improved their hold, and here, this was a very dangerous one from the get-go. They need to try and find a little bit more of a lean in here, and that could be in the pockets of Sapper. They haven't quite been able to have a massive impact on this game. Statistically, they were huge for the run for Elevate to be able to get to this position. They were able to outfrank champion Fragger there, and they weren't always that player. They weren't always that guy to put that difference in for the roster on the aggressive side. So now, hopefully for them, you're looking at maybe a bit of a lean-in with the Candelas and the roles of the Ying. Tyrant tucked in on the top floor, holding around onto the cafe. There's about to be a door broken. Do they know that Tyrant's tucked on the left?
Don't think they do yet, but drones should be coming around. I mean, they've already missed one player that was spawn peeking by not droning properly. Now, a tight angle is being held here, but as Anagiri gets up, he hasn't checked behind the table yet. Now, Tyrant, he's playing this patiently. He doesn't quite want to give away his position yet. Maybe hoping for more Elevate members to come around and try and take Cafe so we can truly strike big here. But for now, it doesn't seem to be the case. A drone comes in from Anagiri. He might have actually spotted out Tyrant, not quite sure. Decide to stop droning at some point. With the Ying now going up towards the break room, it might give you a bit of an idea what they're hoping to go for. Is that, I believe, the wall from break to arcade not rotated? Okay, there is a rotate, just very close.
A very close one. They're tucked around on the swing. They've taken out the drone there. There's a lot of bodies. They're holding off the jump out as well to make sure nobody puts any instant pressure here. And, well, there's Sapper finding users. The head of the first player's gone. Now, can they try and build behind it? The destruction's happening. Onto the break wall, the same way it did before. Nello wants to try and hop his way over here. They're looking to retake a bit of ground, MNM. You've got to try and do this in this current meta. Be a bit aggressive on your defense. Solotov swings the stairs and takes the header Mr. Punch off as they get the Gun 6 pop. Tyrant, he's finally popped his head up. I don't think Onagiri really found him, but either way, it doesn't matter. Sapper. First Candela is going to get caught, but it will still pop. The second rolls its way around there. The explosive sounds come through, but nobody moves behind it, and there's still a minute.
2 Candelas used, indeed. No one pushing in. Maybe because they couldn't quite get them into the right spots, and a small rotate is coming in, heading more towards the cafe. Now, DCH is ready below the staircase. Arcade stair. Wants to move up at some point, but they just need to reformulate a little bit. Just jumping in, I believe, there, yeah. So they want to go up this this arcade staircase with 2 players.
Oh, what other choice do they really have at this? And it's going to be to find Solotov at the top once again, holding an angle. There's a bit of a roll. There's a grenade that forces a bit of movement. DCH behind it. Sapper gets the connection. Tyrant and Mark either side. A 2 versus 1. Neo now, all that's left to see if he can lock this round in. He's holding off on a distant angle. They have the kit, they have the drive towards the site itself, but they don't have this last player, the missing link, and he's going to see if he can try and connect his way up right from the double door. Here's the audio, sees the movement. They had a bit of a catch and an idea. He's behind the smoke, sprays through it, but Mark gets the kit down. For the first time since the beginning, we have that connection. Neo either side, Elevate. I said they needed to do a little bit more this round, and they did more than a little bit more. They take it.
They definitely did more. They did what they needed to do. And even with some players going unspotted on the MNM side, Elevate able to still bring it back and find their second. And now this is a crucial point, Emmy, because the 6th round is coming in. It's the last round that MNM has for the defense, which is statistically the better side to be on. Head towards Bunk and Daycare. Now, if Elevate is going to be able to find another round here, equalize that scoreline, they could be in the driver's seat for this second half. And of course, LAN is a different kind of siege than it is to play online.
It is.
So you cannot completely translate results from online over to results on LAN. But there is still going to be a slight correlation right here. And if Elevate are able to bring this back to 3-3, they have a better opportunity at winning this game than it will be 2-4. It's just as simple as that.
Back with the Ying, back with the Candelas. I'm not entirely sure if Sapper's kill directly came behind it, but we did hear the pop of Candelas before he got that on the push-up arcade stairs. So we'll say it was successful, and they're going to see if they can double down on that. The Fink has changed hands between a couple of the different players, and for an operator who obviously kind of defined Charlotte, you know, you've got eyes on to see the expectations of where she'll find herself in the fight on this, but this is MNM's last chance to try and get themselves that 4-2 break. As you said, it is a good drive for the defenders. A steady approach here over the top. Elevate, once again, getting themselves a steady, clear bout of intel. They've got the Twitch that's getting some work done for the first time, and here on Agiri, he's not going to get caught again by a player tucked behind a table.
Oh, that's a very long shot onto the actual bulletproof cam there. I believe he actually managed to hit the side. Let's destroy it with the Twitch drone now. And Agiri playing with that DMR.
Where have we seen that?
Where have we seen that before? The 417, I believe it deals about 70 damage per shot to the body. 2 shots and you kill any single operator in the game. So Onigiri, with how we've seen him play these kind of ops and DMRs before, definitely unfortunate. I was about to hype him up, but Tyron picks him.
2 players. They want to do a bit of a jump out here. They're going to put the mute jammer there, so they have the support to swing through. Oh, there's a Claymore. Wrong side.
Oh, yes, wrong side.
Yeah,
they wanted to stop the Claymore.
trying to stop the Claymore. Very clever play. No. Mark was still watching it, and, well, Neo's sort of given his life there. It's such a good idea. At first, I was thinking maybe they're just going to try and hold the place and stop a drone, but no, the Claymore stop.
We've had 3 very disappointing deaths happen. First, I was hyping up Onigiri for his 417 getting into a fight. Then we have two jump outs being shut down by the Claymore being on the different side than the mute jammer.
Well, there's the hop through, hits the alibi, gets a little bit of the strike, and there's the reveal, but they're able to win the follow-up fight. DCH doubles down, keeps that trigger going, and now it's a 4 versus nobody. 3-3 on the half. Elevate taking the last 2, setting themselves up for their defensive swing at Theme.
And there you have it. Basically, same result as what they had the last time they played onto Theme Park for Elevate. They were also 3-3 then, and then they managed to win the very next 4 defensive rounds in a row without a single one to be lost. MNM is here to try and change that now, as we head towards the lab and storage first. So we're not headed towards the throne room, which is often considered the very first site. Nor are we headed towards either of the 2 top floor sites, which are usually also in play. So with that, how is MNM going to be responding to this? Of course there will be droning, there will be repicks potentially to come through, but Elevate, they clearly know and love this map.
Attackers have located a bomb.
And that's that sort of thing. I mean, you know, we were sat sort of between the break and kind of guessing, talking, commiserating. The man behind Elevate was there as well. Got you a drink earlier.
So
lovely guy.
You know, he asked me what I wanted to drink, and you know, I just gave him a preference, thinking he would go up to the cafeteria up all the way on the top floor. Instead, he went to a local supermarket and bought a giant bottle. So, thank you, Justin. Appreciate it.
Very lovely of you.
Very lovely.
And he was sort of like, I'm not going to say he seemed surprised that we ended up at Theme. I mean, he probably doesn't know as intrinsically as the players did.
Yeah.
But he was like,
I didn't expect it.
We were making
right?
a joke about the graphic, and he was like, maybe that's why we ended up at Theme. You know, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Oh, because of the sandbox ban that was in between it?
Maybe the sandbox ban in the middle of all the other teams' bans, yes.
Possibly. But, you know, Elevate, they probably were looking forward to potentially play this map here. So, with that said, I predicted a 7-5 to a 7-4 scoreline for Elevate, and that's still on point here, still could happen. It's MNM now on the attack, the statistically less favorite side. But, you know, LAN, different game. It could all change here today.
All right, Elevate. They're going to see if they can try and start the pace here. DCH on the pulse. There is a lot of soft floor, a lot of punishment that can be doled out. It's Usually either the Pulse or the Valkyrie that steps into that position.
Yeah.
Deep Candela's thrown, and Nello throws out Mark, takes care of business quite early on. The smoke is gone. Huge end game operator, and the current top KD for the team itself has been taken off. Mr. Punch, he's the one that's instead stacked up on the mantle underneath that oil drop, seeing if he can catch anybody into the side of barrels. But MNM, they have the first. Can they start trying to put the pressure to the site itself?
You instantly saw MNM trying to control the arcade stairs here, and that was a right call, but just a couple of seconds earlier, two of the Elevate members decided to rotate back towards the site, or at least a different kind of area to play in. Now, pings are coming through. They know of one of these players and their whereabouts. Hammers are starting to come through as well. Solitov takes a small amount of damage, but if he looks carefully, he might find a head or a body of one of these Elevate members that are currently just roaming around.
There is still obviously the Pulse, the C4 in pocket as well if they can make a connection.
It's
but
a shotgun.
He's trying to lead his way through the soft. You look towards Lab as a bit of a particular first sight pick, and that's a bit too early. Unfortunately, that is the only big explosive they have. Two little ones from the side of Sapper, but he's got to make his connection from the other side of the site. He's holding off the swing down yellow stairs, but with 45 seconds, you can see they're still doing some pretty hefty destruction. They're trying to force the space, maybe get the hop on the window. The Arena Gate's gone. Might be reactivated, but it's only going to have a second of time.
Ooh, DCH takes a lot of damage right there. Onigiri will go down, but DCH is close to the window where they want to go for a jump, and with that shotgun gets shut down, unfortunately, as soon as he swings. And now it's only up to Sapper and Mr. Puncher to try and keep it all together. One is close to the window, will be able to potentially find the kill. However, the rest of MNM is already in. The head gets missed at the very first attempt, but the kill will eventually still come through. However, every angle has been locked off at that point. Sapper now in that 1v4 situation. The plant going down, 45 seconds soon to be on the clock, but he doesn't even reach the corner. Tyrant will lock him off, and with that MNM, they retake the lead.
Really good player space there from the side of MNM. They got the first. We could see that they set up and left players for a long time. The catch onto Onigiri was, I believe, from arcade stairs, just holding, just waiting, allowing all the pressure to happen. They must have been there for about a minute and a half before they get that kill, and then they move up into territory as they get it cleared and cleared and cleared. They're not allowing Elevate to have that joy of 1 versus 1s, to have those fights that they do so well. They're playing so tight and intrinsic in that round. MNM, they were a little bit of a, well, where's the weak spot?
Yeah, for sure. They're doing quite well now, and especially Tyrant stepping up. He's 10 on 5, doing better than most of his games he did during the European League. And that is a key point. We said it before. We need Tyrant to step up to his old form like we've seen him before. And then together with Users and Solitov, they can really make the difference on that front line. Now, Solitov also on 7. Users is running positive on 4 as well. But, you know, how many kills can you pick up more if Tyrant is running on 10 in the meantime, right? So MNM definitely on a bit of a heater right now. If they manage to continue this, especially with Tyrant going as strong as he does, Elevate is going to have a really tough time on the defense here.
Let's see if they can try and catch a bit more of a surprise on this approach from the side of MNM. The E1Ds in the pocket of Neo, who is going to try and, as always, play that backline support to...
It's a rush.
Yeah, there it is. Over,
soft.
Straight in. It's soft, it's in, there it goes. They're locked out. The Alza can only find 1.5. They're dropped. The kit round the back catches the oil drop on the hatch as well. It's suddenly just 2 MNM players left, but they're going to see if they can stick it. They're held, they're locked out, they're dropped down. The spray round, it's gone a little bit away from them. They held the doors, and now Neo is that backline. I said he was the support, now he's all that's left. Cannot find him. And Elevate, they just did enough to stop that first approach. And then MNM were caught, surrounded by him.
It was a good attempt, right? They spotted a weakness, they saw the window. Basically, you can just go through that. There's a softball near barrels as well. But it was unfortunate that Sapper still around there with the Alda, able to get 1 kill and an injure, allowing for players to rotate back, allowing to buy just enough time for Elevate to make sure they were in good positions to go for a retake onto the site directly. And a 4-4, again, equalized that score as we've done Armory Throw. Headed up towards the top 4 now, Bunk and Daycare. This is usually what we see to be the second side, or third, depending on if initiation is going to be more preferred by the team. This one really relies on how much you're going to be able to either hold off to Cafe, or if you're going to be ready to go for a push that is coming from the cash and maintenance side.
Not going back to Drug Lab, which obviously we didn't really talk about it at the time. It's in a lot of regions, not really. Towards the top of the board, it's a bit awkward to hold. It's a bit short, a bit sharp, with what this meta loves, which is a lot more extension. Oh, Throne has sort of found itself as the most successful for defenses. It's an 100% win rate across the two halves as of this moment in time. Bunk, a bit of a back and forth.
The thing is, right, with Throne, it is a large site. There's plenty of corners to hide in. There's 3 walls that are the direct entry and 2 doors. Those walls will stay shut. But if you then look at verticality, there's almost none you have to worry about. Whereas on the side of the Drug Lab, there is a lot of verticality you need to worry about. And if you do not want to worry about verticality, you're right next to a window. So it's not really leaning too well into the defense, at least not currently. But it might have been an off pick. They might have wanted to go for a bit of a surprise there. As the drone gets sledged in. Makes that last little bit of a noise there for the drone itself.
It sort of hides it as well, and amongst it, Sapper takes care of Solotov. The C4 is going to be the catch onto the sledge. 2 grenades gone. I'm thinking that was over the hatch on the top where we last saw him. Mr. Punch punches Tyrant's card. Mark is then the next to step in. There's that new duo. There's that new duo. Nello is off the board, and suddenly Usus is looking down a hatch, but not for very long. Onigiri says hello.
He saw a little shadow, and then he saw a gun barrel. And he just went for it with the MK14 there. Absolutely slaughtered MNM right there. Doused the fire. And with that, 5-4. Now in the lead, Elevate, and they're still in their defense. But they are headed back towards lab and storage, mind you. Do not see the pulse coming out with the shotgun this time. Technical timeout to be called, and that means 45 seconds to speak. Now, it was an MNM timeout, even though it says Elevate there. So don't pay attention to that one.
I guess that's the in-game one. We don't
the in-game one.
Because obviously in EUL and APAC we
come back to the player cams.
Yeah.
We have like our own little timer.
So we don't get to see this little screen.
No, we don't.
What a treat.
It is a treat.
What a treat for us.
Well, we got to see it, but unlike the screens of the player cams, which is not really something you can get too much out.
Elevate. They're one step ahead. MNM have called their tac timeout. They took a risk with a rush, didn't work, and then that round was a rush put on the side of the defense, and they wanted to be done with it as quickly as possible. Elevate smacked them off the board on that side, and to be honest, it's the first time we've really seen that much dominant control, I think, from either team. There was one round MNM had, but it wasn't a flawless. It was close to, and it wasn't that fast, but it was close to. That was the most aggressive win we've seen so far.
It definitely is, but we're headed back towards the Drug Lab now, and with that, also we need to just reminisce at the old round that we've seen. Because MNM, the last time around here, had a pretty convincing round against them. They were able to just shut them down one by one, not really taking any losses as a result. And if they manage to repeat that feat here, we'll find ourselves back on 5-5. And suddenly, whoever wins round 11 will have a point on the board. Because it is not elimination. It is not like GSA kind of formats, for example. GSL. It is points. It is like your regular group stages. A full win, 3 points. An overtime win, 2 points. An overtime loss, a single point. And a straight-out loss means you get absolutely nada.
Them's the numbers, folks.
Keep those in mind for the next couple of 3 days.
Keep those in mind. Don't forget them.
Definitely don't.
Or we'll come for you.
Didn't need to make it threatening
Whoa,
here.
Tyrant, they almost came for you. Tried to sneak his way in as the knock on the door, but Sapper is the vigil. 2 invisible people having a very visible fight here. Tyrant gets a bit of a pick-me-up from the side of Finka. They've rotated off. Sapper was almost gifted a very dangerous entry there straight after the tac timeout at the side of MNM. It happened round on the back line of the supply structure towards the site itself. Neo wants to bait the C4. Fool me once with a sledge. Fool me twice with a sledge. Goodbye, Mark. Not with a sledge, with a Finka.
LMG coming in here. Saw it be very effective on DCH when he used it earlier. Is that an RC Retiro? That is currently droned. Oh no, it has been destroyed. I was going to say, it's just currently not doing anything. It's a bit of an idle move, but it's been destroyed, so it's not going to be blowing up anytime soon. And a 4-on-5 in the meantime. Tyrant gets healed back up a little bit, but definitely was a bit of a scare if you go down to literally 1 HP in the very first couple of seconds of that round.
Oh, it was a strike, that's for sure, right into the heart and the gameplay here. The Flores drone, the second one, actually also gets caught out as well. That maybe being a little bit slowed by the mute jammers, a little bit stopped. There's going to have to be some physical control gestured and postured here by Elevate. They want to get themselves in boots on the ground of Cafe, and DCH with a bit of danger around in the corner. No C4 in the pocket of the Valkyrie, but Mr. Punch is a bit of a flat bit of pressure here. The spray and the fight over the top, the Renegade gets reactivated, and they don't quite get the catch and the kill for it.
He's very afraid, though, of the fact that someone could potentially be coming in from the bathroom as Anagiri gets taken out. So really has to worry there, DCH, from potentially being taken from two different angles here. So he needs to make sure he isolates them. And that's exactly what he's done. He's fallen back, uses a very tight angle right now to stop Nello from moving in from this bathroom door. Pings are coming in, both red and yellow, to make sure that Nello has no clue where he's currently being spotted from. Waste some time. Let him search for the Valkyrie camera, but he cannot find it as of yet. The pre-fire comes in from behind. Sepper will be injured, however, is not going to be dealing too much damage, and that leaves us in this 2v4, 2v5 situation.
There's the kick code, 36 seconds. They got to try and dig it in for
Oh, the finger!
Oh, Mr. Punch takes them out of the occasion. A swing round the door, DCH makes it one more, and now suddenly the round has filtered through the fingers of MNM. Neo is the last on the board, but it's Elevate that are the first to find themselves one round away from the 3 points.
And there you have it. They find themselves 8 points now with the opportunity to fight for 3, as you just said. And it was a very close one. It was a 2v5 that they managed to bring back to a 2v0. So well played by Elevate there. And they are one step away from picking up the very first 3 in their group and securing themselves with that first win, with that little bit of a relief of that first game stress.
Protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
If you're unfamiliar with the schedule,
Yes.
the next game on the stream is another Elevate game. MNM, after this, have a bit of time before they have to play once again. Elevate, they've got 2 games to play today, as everybody does, but there's a back-to-back. And Astralis, hey guys, I know you're watching.
There probably will be.
Probably will be.
Warming up, watching the game in the meantime.
Call-out's called the biggest brain in NA. He'll be running the numbers. He'll be putting the math together, and Elevate know that they've got that as a fight immediately after, especially with delays that they've suffered earlier on in the day. Not that it's over, but Elevate need this energy as much as possible to carry them on to a very energetic team as the next match up. 2 rounds, 2 chances here for Elevate to secure themselves 3 points and sit, at least temporarily, at the top of the group.
Yeah, especially up until the end of the next match, and potentially still even then. But there's still a round to be won, and it's up against MNM. They have 2 opportunities to close out this game without dropping any of these points that they currently have within arm's length. Users going up first towards the actual roof, not the balcony. Trying to get some information down. Tyrant taken out first. Mark will find a kill. That's the Finka gone. Finka played a huge role in that last round, Emmy. Revives coming through. Heals coming through time and time again. That's all gone now. Together with a giant LMG, 2 grenades, and a gun 6.
I mean, this is the thing that I sort of highlighted at the beginning. I want to see what Mark and Mr. Punch do. What do they do? This, apparently, dig and find the kills, pull themselves back. They're so mobile. Mark really wants a second for his trouble. Do they know he's rotated? Does he know that there's one on the left of the door? There's one on the right of the door. The drone making its way around the top. It's just also made its way around the bottom as well, but I don't know if it got the catch. Mark shoots the drone out, pulls himself back, and escapes. Didn't get gifted with another take and a fight there, but does keep his life.
He's kind of stuck in that vault, though. No real way out unless he uses one of those impact grenades. Of course, it's going to be calling in some form of help as DCH does get taken out by Solotov. He does go quite low, but look at it. 4 members of MNM all around Mark now, but they decide to fall back. They decide to go for a bit of a different approach. They want to go directly above, but that leaves him alive. That leaves him alive in that vault with the opportunity to go for a flank. And if this drone doesn't catch him, this might prove very detrimental. Have they seen? I don't think they have. No one is moving towards him. He's been unspotted. They think it's clear. And as Mr. Punch strikes Solotov, that is definitely going to be sowing some chaos here.
3 more bodies gone. 2 of the 3 of the dynamic kill leaders, and uses the last one left to try and lead the backline and Ellen and Neo through onto the site itself. He's got to try and do one of those rounds he's done many times before, but it's a lot of pressure. When Elevate, they've still been able to drive themselves in. 50 seconds. The start of the breach or the start of the idea over it, they're not quite confident enough to go for the direct push onto the wall as of yet. And there's a Valkyrie camera that's sort of proving and giving the lessons why. Look at Mark. Look at the rotate from the top rope. It's Mark. Finds one, hits the impact, does a lot of damage to Neo. They have explosives in hand. but they have none of the Elevate players ready to grasp in the palm. Nello, he's a little bit lost and a little bit isolated, rotating around on the side of red, curious to see if he can put some pressure onto the backside of yellow stairs. But those Valkyrie cameras are giving it all away. It's Mark from the top of Dragon. It's Nello, all that's left here for MNM to try and keep themselves into this fight itself. He's able to get a scrappy fight and find the first and a bit of revenge, but 5 seconds and 2 more players left. He won't even be able to breach the boards. Elevate, they take this game!
They take the first 3 points here at the Major in Berlin, and they will be more than happy with that one. It was a long delay that they have to wait for before they finally got going, but they came out swinging, especially on their defensive half right here, and they managed to pick up 3 very important points because they are fighting for a top 2 spot.
We're going to throw to a very quick break before we're back to break down that game. Welcome back here to the post-game analysis. Elevate versus MNM, and Elevate take the 3 points.
They take the 3 points indeed. They had a bit of a struggle at the start of the game on their attack. Eventually did manage to make it back towards a 3-round half, which is great, which is what they needed. And after that, on their defense, they only lost the very first, and ever since, they just steamrolled the rest of MNM.
I think that's it as well. Obviously, we had the data. We had the run of the numbers. They're very good on their defense. But what we didn't really have from early game Elevate was Elevate. They were a little bit slow to connect themselves with the game. They were a little bit slow to get into the aggro. Obviously, there were a lot of eyes on Sapper based on his performance, and there were a lot of eyes, as I said, on Mr. Punch and on Mark based on being new pickups. And there's always a lot of eyes on Onigiri. So, and DCH2, I don't want to make you feel left out, but he's just come around the side there.
He's just coming by. Hello, guys.
That's the thing. And they found the strike at the end. They found themselves that sort of Elevate energy that's got them to this step, which is so needed going into the follow-up game with Astralis.
Yeah, for sure. Astralis, they might be one of the tournament favorites coming through, and Elevate being able to pick up the first 3 points against a team that they will be fighting for a potential second-place spot, as many would see it, are now coming up against maybe a tournament favorite. If they manage to take points home from that game, that's already a big win, let alone if they take the full 3.
MNM, unfortunately, they found themselves not slow to start. There was some big rounds for them, big moments, and they were trying big things, but a little bit of frustrating connections, a little bit of a struggle with the approach that Theme is. It can be tricky, and we know MNM sort of has a little bit of hit and miss moments. They can dig themselves back into a game. Sometimes the game is sort of a bit too much for them if they can't match the pace of Elevate, which here they unfortunately just couldn't. They do obviously have, I think it's 2 games or 3 games before they will be back on the stage today. So some time to get the mental back together, some time to get themselves coordinated, because, as I said, there were moments of MNM.
There were definitely moments, and I think we can also say Tyron was back compared to what we've seen throughout the majority of the European League stage. It's an important factor, and I know we do not really like to put fingers upon a single player as the defining factor of a team, but that's not what we're doing. We're just saying he's one of that big 3 that we need to see show up for MNM to have a good chance at making it out of the groups.
I think that's it as well. It's not that it was entirely sort of blindsided by MNM, which has happened on the bigger stages. There was a bit of aggro. There was a bit of sort of warming up and waking up into it. They can definitely pull themselves back in from this. And for them, they have a little bit of a break, time to eat and time to get themselves sorted, or at least a little bit more time than Elevate do in the matter of things. Because, as we sort of highlighted and alluded to, next up is Astralis.
Yeah, next up is going to be Astralis. We can talk about it as much as we want, but let's just leave the majority of that for the actual next pre-game and talk more about how Elevate did. Now, if we're going to round history, we had MNM starting off with 2, Elevate gets 1, MNM finds another 1, and then we have Elevate with 2 crucial rounds onto the attack to ensure themselves that 3-3. Now, the one thing that stood out to me on that defense the most of Elevate is that when we went into round 7, they got completely picked apart by the drug lab and storage. But they turned that around as soon as the rush came around. And as we just quickly look at the groups right here, as they are being pulled up, there's not much to talk about yet. But Elevate able to pick up those first 3 points. Also a 3-round differential in the positive. And that might come in clutch at the end of the groups, because the first tiebreaker nowadays is round differential.
Yes, it is.
It's no longer head-to-head.
No, it is not. There's a joint second, technically, for everybody across the board, but obviously that will very quickly start to find ourselves a little bit decisive. We don't have an update on the other game and the other group, because I believe it's still in progress. Okay. But we do have, obviously, the breakdown on this game, the way everything started to find itself a structure. Obviously a 7-4, as you said, that 3-round difference, that can become huge.
It definitely is, and with that as well, you know, preventing yourself from going to overtime in the very first game, make sure that you get more points. Again, I'm just going to say what we say in EUL.
Oh,
it's
the other game is
game.
over.
Oh, it is over. Rogue won.
Okay.
7-2. That is a very impressive scoreline against Damwon Kia, and it's definitely not what Damwon Kia would have expected.
7-2. To Rogue versus Damwon Kia. So where one APAC team finds success against EU, Rogue dispatched Damwon Kia. And well, that's something that you maybe expected a bit of a closer scoreline, regardless of who you thought was going to pull it out.
Yeah, for sure. I think Damwon Kia and Rogue, that might have been one of the closest games to call for today as well. You could have seen it gone to either side. But Rogue, they have been in a great state lately. And even though with the hotness that is here in Berlin, Bernadette brought these little pink fans, and it's just a personal fan waiver for the Rogue players. They're Leon, all cool, relaxed.
Leon walking around with a little hand fan.
He's just walking around with a pink fan around a venue like this, yeah. No. Beautiful. He's having a definite.
Well, it's also tricky, I think, is we get a bit of a difference there because DK, Damwon Kia are staying on the A stream. They're the ones that have back-to-back games, and they've just come off the back of a 2-7, which is unfortunate. Elevate are the story. They've come off the back of a win. They're the team that are staying on the B stream itself, and well, the other regions will start to get their chance to swing. NIP is going to be up against Damwon Kia on the A stream, and on the B, it will be Elevate versus Astralis. So NA and Latin America, welcome to the show.
In just a couple of minutes, though.
In just a couple of minutes.
They're probably just setting up as we speak because, you know, we're still rounding off the game. Yeah. But they will more than likely have had some good rest as well, had some food just now. Need to make sure that they don't get into the after-dinner dip because that could be detrimental, I have to say. So, got to make sure you don't eat too much right before the game.
Yeah. You're very
Same
right.
goes for casting.
You're very correct on that. Yeah, you never want to make sure you eat too much.
Nope.
Not sure if we'll have the match summary in a little bit to have a closer look. You have the match summary.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you can... who was the best?
The best player in terms of EPS, which is the expected player score, not performance anymore, we don't do that, is, surprise, surprise.
Okay.
Mark.
Well, Mark. We'll see if he steps up on the next. We're going to go to a very quick break before we're back with the second game, Elevate versus Astralis.